what Walrus is and the problem it's solving and why you should use it. So with Walrus, our mission at Niston Labs and at Sui is to decentralize the whole stack of the internet, not just the compute layer. So at Sui, we see Sui as the global coordination layer. We have the fastest and most reliable blockchain. The DevX is very good. And with like the Sui object model and PTBs, it's just even better. Like the developer experience and the composability is, it's composable by default on Sui. And we have the best building blocks for a modern UX to adopt the mass users that are on the internet. You know, like right now, crypto has millions of people, but we're trying to adopt the billions of users on the internet to blockchain and decentralization. So we saw that the natural progression was, now that we have the compute layer, we also need the global data layer. For example, you build an app on Sui, right? Like your hackathon project. When you deploy the website, you're most likely going to host it on a server that's centralized. So at any point, due to malicious activity or not, that website could go down, and then that UX, the decentralized smart contract is basically useless if no regular user can access it. And then like NFTs, right? Like you spend a lot of money on NFTs, and maybe you've screenshotted or saved that image on your local machines, but when you share it with someone or someone's checking out your NFT, or maybe you're listing it for sale, at any point that image could go down. Like wherever the collection is posting that image, it's centralized and it could go down either due to malicious activity or not. And then when you're working in the Web 2 space, you use AWS, Google, Apple to store your data. Ultimately, you don't have control and ownership of this data. So these are all problems that we're trying to address with Walrus. And we're providing these following things here. We're able to store gigabytes at a very reasonable cost. Our priority is making it very resilient as well as high performance. And because Walrus uses Sui as a coordination layer, so it handles all the payments and the metadata on Sui, this makes data programmable and composable for the first time. I'm going to go into some more details here. So Walrus is a delegated proof-of-stake network. So first, most other decentralized storage networks and other blockchains, they have full replication of data. So if you were to store like an image on some other decentralized storage network, the data would most likely be replicated at a replication factor like per node. So on every node, the data would be replicated fully. But on Walrus, we only have a constant 4 to 5x replication factor. And we are able to accomplish this with our novel erasure coding algorithm that the Walrus core team built in-house. So this allows us to be very cost effective because we don't store the data nearly as much as other networks do. And because of this, we're also very scalable. In other networks, when you add nodes, you're actually adding more responsibility because every node has to hold all the data. But when you add nodes to Walrus, you're actually improving the read and write throughput because that node doesn't have to hold all the information that's stored on all the other nodes. It can hold its unique shard of the network. So this said, even though we don't store the data as much as other networks, we're still much more resilient than the other networks. You would still be able to write data to the Walrus network even if a third of the nodes are down. And even if 2/3 of the network goes down, you'd still be able to read the data that you write to the network. So this is us really emphasizing the resiliency of the network. We want you to be able to put all kinds of data on there, either like very casual data, but also secure and very important pieces of data. So we want to make sure that it's reliable even during a zombie apocalypse. And like I said, Walrus uses Sui as a coordination layer. So this means that for the first time, Walrus storage data availability is now can be tokenized as an asset on chain. So you're able to utilize the speed and resiliency of Sui network while utilizing the data availability on Walrus. So now you can have data storage marketplaces, rental protocols, and there's a lot of future use cases with DeFi, oracles, and whatnot. So we will launch, we're launching a mainnet very soon. Right now we're on testnet. We've been on testnet for a few months now, and we'll be launching to mainnet like within a month. Like you can hold your breath. Like it'll be very soon. And along with mainnet, we'll be launching a token on Sui called the Wall token here. And this will be used for payments on Walrus as well as staking, rewards, governance, stuff like that. Okay, I didn't want to just talk about it, I wanted to show you it. So if you guys could take out your phones and scan this, it will actually take you to this site where you would be able to try uploading to Walrus for the first time. So what this you'll see when you take it to the site is you can choose like a photo to upload, and then the amount of epochs you need. The epochs is just how long you want the data to be available on Walrus. One epoch is equivalent to about 2 weeks right now. And because we're on testnet, this is free, but you can imagine that you would like be able to connect your wallet and pay for this once we go to mainnet. So yeah, this is a first chance to be able to upload a Walrus and see how easy it is, especially if you're familiar with other decentralized storage networks. They're not that easy to use for sure. So. Yeah, so even though we're on testnet, we're already seeing a lot of cool products being used today. For example, like Tusky.io is like a Google Drive clone that's powered by Walrus. So you can store all your files like you would on Google Drive, but then you have you don't have to trust the platform. You can you rely on Walrus's trustless storing. And then we built Walrus Site, which is a product that allows you to host websites in a decentralized manner. So we're directly trying to solve that problem I mentioned earlier, where you have these decentralized apps, but they can go down because you're storing them centrally. So we're able to let users store all of the static HTML files and whatnot and JavaScript files on Walrus, and then we have portals that will render your website on browsers. And this will happen natively. You don't need like a special browser or a special extension or anything like that. You can use it. And actually, this site that I pointed you to is deployed on Walrus. So anything appended with .walrus.site, that means it's deployed on Walrus. So like when you guys are accessing it, this is a site that can't be taken down because it's deployed decentrally. All right, so I just wanted to give you the overall details and stuff, but if you want to look more into how Walrus was built, right, you can get more info. We have the Walrus white paper here. So this has like information, especially regarding the erasure coding algorithm, the algorithm we use to replicate and shard the data throughout the network, but still keep it reliable. So if you're curious, you can look here for that. All right, well, thank you again for listening, and I hope this shows you how cool Walrus is, and yeah, stay tuned for mainnet launch. Thank you, guys.